In today's podcast, I want to talk about why neurotypical social intuition fails to build real trust in autistic partners. If you're the neurotypical partner in a relationship with an autistic partner, there's a very real chance that you've been trying to build trust and accidentally doing the opposite. Not because you don't care, not because you're controlling, not because you're selfish, but because you may be using a trust-building system that works well with other neurotypical people and very poorly with autistic nervous systems. And that can be devastating because then both people feel confused. The neurotypical partner says, well, I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to read you. I'm trying to feel close. Why does nothing work? And the autistic partner says, well, I'm being honest. I'm trying. Why am I still treated like I'm suspicious? That gap right there is where many neurodiverse marriages slowly bleed trust. So today, we're going deep into something most relationship advice never talks about. Why neurotypical social intuition often fails to build trust in autistic partners. We're going to unpack the following. Why eye contact is not the same as sincerity. Why emotional mirroring can create pressure instead of safety. Why reading tone often backfires. What I call the logic gap of sincerity, and how trust is actually built with autistic partners in a way that feels real to both people. Because if you don't understand this, you keep measuring love with the wrong ruler. So let's get into it. To start off with, I want to talk about why neurotypical social intuition works until it doesn't. Many neurotypical people develop trust through fast subconscious cues. Without realizing it, they scan for things like eye contact, tone warmth, facial responsiveness, timing of reactions, emotional mirroring, body language congruence, verbal reassurance, and immediate relational repair. Now, this is not bad. It's human. These cues often help neurotypical people quickly sense, is this person safe? Are they emotionally present? Do they care? Can I trust them? And among many neurotypical pairings, this can be fairly effective. But here's the problem. Those cues are not universal truth detectors. They are culturally reinforced, neurologically filtered approximations. And when you bring those approximations into a neurodiverse relationship, they often become false evidence. And that's where the trouble starts. Now let's talk about the myth of universal benchmarks. A lot of neurotypical spouses unconsciously believe that if you love me, you'll look at me. If you care, you'll respond emotionally. If you're sincere, I'll feel it. If you're honest, your body language will match my expectations. But autistic communication often does not package sincerity in neurotypical wrapping. That matters because someone can be deeply loyal, honest, committed, trying hard, emotionally invested, while failing every neurotypical test. Let that sink in. Your autistic partner may be failing tests they never agreed to, and you may be grading them harshly, not maliciously, but automatically. And that creates chronic injustice inside the relationship. Now let's talk about how eye contact is not a moral trait. Most neurotypical people unconsciously associate eye contact with honesty, confidence, care, presence, vulnerability, engagement. So when an autistic partner looks away or glances down or stares elsewhere or listens without eye contact, the neurotypical system may interpret that as you're disconnected, you don't care, you're hiding something, you're emotionally unavailable. But often the autistic reality is completely different. Eye contact often feels overstimulating, cognitively distracting, invasive, harder during emotional processing, less efficient for listening, and too intense during conflict. Some autistic people listen better when they're not making eye contact. So imagine the tragedy. The autistic partner looks away in order to regulate and hear you better, and the neurotypical spouse experiences it as rejection. That's not betrayal. That's a mismatch. Now, let's talk about how emotional mirroring can become a trap. Many neurotypical people feel trust when their emotions are visibly reflected. If I'm sad, you look sad. If I'm excited, you brighten up. If I'm upset, you show concern the way I expect. This creates a sense of, you really get me. And again, that can be valid. But autistic partners may experience and express empathy very differently. They show care through problem solving, practical support, remembering details, loyalty under pressure, consistency, research, fixing systems, creating stability, and staying present quietly. Yet because the emotional display doesn't match neurotypical expectations, the neurotypical partner concludes that you just don't care. Meanwhile, the autistic partner is thinking, I just spent 3 hours trying to solve the thing hurting you. This is the logic gap. One person trusts signals, the other person trusts actions, and they keep missing each other. Now let's talk about the logic gap of sincerity. This is one of the biggest hidden fractures in neurodiverse relationships. The neurotypical partner often feels sincerity through intuitive emotional signals, whereas the autistic partner often defines sincerity through internal truth and consistent action. So the neurotypical spouse may ask, why didn't you sound caring? And the autistic spouse may think, but I was telling the truth. The neurotypical spouse may say, you seemed cold. And the autistic spouse thinks, I was being careful and factual. The neurotypical spouse says, you didn't comfort me. And the autistic spouse thinks, I stayed here, I listened, I helped. These are different operating systems, different evidence, different definitions of trust. And if you don't name this gap, you're going to personalize it. And personalization destroys goodwill. Now let's talk about what neurotypical partners often miss. Your intuition may be accurate inside your native system, but inaccurate cross-neurologically. That's not an insult. It's calibration. If I only knew one language, I may mistake another language for nonsense. That doesn't mean it's nonsense. It means I need translation. Many neurotypical partners trust their felt sense too absolutely. They may think, I can tell when someone cares. Well, maybe with people who signal like you. But in neurodiverse dynamics, certainty becomes dangerous because you may be calling a loyal partner unsafe simply because their signals are unfamiliar, and that hurts both people. Now let's talk about what autistic partners often need to understand too. So let me balance this thing. Autistic partners also need to understand something. Your sincerity may be real, but invisible. If your NT partner repeatedly says something along the lines of, I can't feel you with me, that doesn't always mean they are shallow or needy. Sometimes it means your care is staying trapped inside your internal system. So this is not neurotypical bad, autistic good. No. This is two valid systems creating accidental pain. The autistic partner may need to make care more legible, and the neurotypical partner may need to stop worshiping instinct. Both matter. Now let's talk about how real trust is built through translation. Trust in neurodiverse relationships is not built through assumption. It's built through translation. That means asking things like, when you care, how do you show it? When you feel overwhelmed, what happens externally? What behaviors make you feel trusted? What behaviors make you feel judged? What does repair look like to you? What sincerity cues are natural for you? And what cues are unnatural but learnable? That conversation alone can save years of pain because many couples keep arguing about motives when the real issue is signal mismatch. Now let's talk about an example of a typical misfire. The neurotypical spouse says, well, I was crying and you just sat there. And the autistic spouse says, well, I stayed beside you for an hour. The neurotypical spouse hears defensiveness. The autistic spouse means devotion. See that? Same moment, opposite interpretation. Here's another example. The neurotypical spouse says, you wouldn't look at me. The autistic spouse says, I was trying to regulate so I didn't shut down. Again, one sees avoidance, one experiences effort. Without translation, resentment grows. With translation, compassion grows. Now let's talk about new trust benchmarks that actually work. Instead of relying only on neurotypical intuition, consider healthier benchmarks. Number 1, consistency over performance. Do they keep showing up? Not, did they emote correctly? Number 2, repair capacity. Can they learn, revisit, and improve after conflict? Not, did they instinctively know what to do? Number 3, integrity. Do words and long-term actions align? Not, did their tone soothe me instantly? Number 4, transparency. Can they explain internal processes honestly? Not, did they display them conventionally? Number 5, effort to translate. Are they trying to meet you halfway? That matters enormously. Now, if you're the neurotypical partner, try this shift. Instead of asking, do I feel reassured by their style? Ask, what evidence of care exists that I'm overlooking? Maybe it's they always come home. They solve problems. They protect routines. They remember specifics. They try after mistakes. They tell the truth bluntly. And they stay loyal under stress. That may not feel cinematic, but it may be real trust. Sometimes flashy emotional signals are cheap. Sometimes quiet consistency is gold. Now, if you're the autistic partner, try this shift. Instead of saying, I care, that should be enough. Ask, how can I make care easier to receive? Maybe that means naming your intentions aloud or brief reassurance statements. Explaining shutdown states, saying, I'm listening even if I'm not looking. Maybe it's scheduled repair talks or validating emotion before problem solving. How about gentle touch if welcome? Maybe it's clarifying that silence is processing, not rejection. You don't need to become neurotypical, but learning translation skills can dramatically increase safety in your marriage. Now let's talk about the nervous system layer. Many couples think this is about personality. Often it's nervous systems. The neurotypical partner may feel abandoned when cues disappear, and the autistic partner may feel invaded when pressure for cues increases. Then each person escalates. One pursues more visible connection, and the other one withdraws more to regulate. And both say, see, you don't care. You are triggering each other's threat responses. That means the solution is not blame, it's co-regulation plus understanding. Now let's talk about the mature relationship question. The immature question is, why can't you love me my way automatically? The mature question is, how does love naturally move through your system, and how do we bridge it? That question changes marriages, because now you're not enemies, you're translators, you're builders. You are two nervous systems learning a shared language. Now, if you're the neurotypical partner, your intuition is valuable, but not infallible. If you're the autistic partner, your sincerity is valuable, even when not immediately visible. And if you are both in a neurodiverse relationship, please hear this very clearly. The problem may not be lack of love. It may be mistaken measurement. You may be using universal benchmarks that were never universal. You may be calling difference deficiency. You may be judging devotion because it arrived in unfamiliar packaging. Slow down, get curious, translate before you accuse, and before you conclude, measure trust by patterns, integrity, effort, and repair. That's where real safety lives. Now, if this spoke to your relationship, leave a comment with the word translation and tell me what caring behavior from your partner was misunderstood for years. Also, subscribe if you want deeper guidance on neurodiverse relationships, trust repair, emotional safety, and real-world tools that actually work. You're not dealing with impossible love. You're dealing with two valid systems that need a better map. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.